can try to contain it. What I feel, it is real, it is bigger than me. No, I can't ignore that my life is more satisfying from inside. Can I deny the light that is burning? Just a tiny ember spark, this change in my life. I fan the flames every day, dreaming dreams in my life. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling fresh, I'm feeling new. This is the best. I'm staying true, not settling for less. I'm breaking through. This is the best day. It's the best day. It's the best day. This is the best day. It's the best day. It's the best day. This is the best day. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fresh. I'm feeling new. This is the best. I'm staying true, not settling for less. I'm breaking through. This is the best day. Yeah.
Your best day yet. Yes. Okay, let's try it like you really mean it. Do you and you and you and you, do you want to live your best day yet? Yes. Woo! Great. Well, guess what? It's all up to you. And you can do it by living the 12 powers now. When you live in your power now, everything changes. Everything, everything. So these powers are God-given, they are God-driven, and they live and move, and they are lit within each and every one of us. And what are they? They are faith. And if you know them, say them with me. They are faith, strength, wisdom, love, power, imagination, understanding, will, order, zeal, release, and life. Yes, these are our 12 powers, and we are called to live in them, because when we do, we are indeed the place that God shows up. You know, it's so funny. If you were like me, you went to church as a little kid, and we were always, as kids, looking for God, or we always wanted to do what God wanted us to do. We had to be good little boys and girls, because there was this God that was up here that was looking down on us, keeping a list. And we always knew Christmas was coming. So keeping that list, wanting to do the good thing, to have the approval of God. But in Unity, we teach it different. We teach that God lives within each and every one of us. And as we move into our God power, as we live in our God energy, what happens is more of God wants to come out in each and every one of us. We no longer settle for less. How about that? Yes, no longer. We want to live from the God power and the God truth that we are. Myrtle Fillmore is one of our co-founders, and she tells us this. She says that God is the one perfect life flowing through us. God is the one pure substance out of which our organism is formed. God is the power that gives us motivation, the strength that holds us upright, the wisdom that gives us intelligence in every cell of our organism and in every thought in our minds. She says God is the only reality of us. All else is but a shadow that is cast by some foolish belief or unwise combination of thoughts and elements of being. And when we let light flood us, it floods sunshine, and all clouds vanish. And we begin to see ourselves in new ways that lead to wholeness, health, satisfaction, and growth. She's telling us what happens when we live with the 12 powers as our truth. And so today we are going to focus on the last 4 powers. Last week there was an ice storm, and so the talk for last week was not here, obviously, but you can find it on our YouTube channel. And so you go ahead on our website, and if you just click the YouTube tab, you will find last week's talk. I did it from home. My wonderful husband, Lonnie, taped me 4 times until I could get it right. But it's online, so you can find last week's talk. Thank you, Lonnie. One more reason I'm so glad to be married to you. Just one of the many. Anyway, so let's move on. So the last 4 powers are order, zeal, release, and life. And so I'm going to go ahead and, like I've done before, I will give you the affirmation that we used at Christmas Eve so we can continue in our knowing these powers in this way. So let's start with the power of order. The affirmation: I live, move, and have my whole being. Actually, say it with me. Affirm it with me. I live, move, and have my whole being in God. All things work together for good. So often we say, all things work together for good, don't we? And sometimes that's a wish. Have you ever had that as a wish? I really hope all things are working together for good. But when we get that divine order is a way of seeing, it's a way of being in which we put our whole selves into the energy and into the presence of God, then indeed it only follows naturally that all things work together for good. And we now have the vision, we now have the ability to see God's perfect order. How come? Because we find God in everything. And when we find God in everything, God's goodness is always present. Divine order doesn't happen to us. It happens through us. And when we ask the question, where is God found in this? Where is God found? What we do is we spark off an inquiry to go into our deeper self, to ask, how are all things working together for God's good right here and right now? And how is God present in this moment? So I ask myself, how is God present right here? And when I do, undoubtedly, I will find the divine order that is already present. Now, we might look within ourselves to our own turmoil. We might look into our country or in the world, and we might see or we might sense turmoil. But when we live in the deeper question, how is God present? How do all things work together for good? Then I hold a deeper and a greater vision beyond my humanity. And I live in the knowing that I live and move and have my being in God. And that is a very different experience. And so we call forward the power of divine order. And as we do, let us move to the next power, which is the power of zeal. So affirm together with me, with enthusiasm and zest, I express the aliveness of God. I sizzle with joy. Okay, so here's the deal. Move those shoulders and sizzle with joy. Okay. Marilyn, I don't see you sizzling. Sizzle with joy. There you go. So much better. Yes. We are going to sizzle with joy. Our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, said this in his 94th year when he wasn't feeling so sizzly. He said this. He affirmed, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spirit, and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. 94th year of life, I fairly sizzle with joy and enthusiasm. Wow. To spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. Can you imagine? And so when we're talking about zeal, we're not necessarily talking about a zealous personality, because we know a few people that are zealous. And if you were at my home, you would say, Lonnie would say, you get a little zealous. You get a little, but that's my personality. Real zeal is not personality. Real zeal is the passion, the energy of God. Real zeal is joy. Real zeal is enthusiasm. And so we are called to bring forward real zeal into our everyday so we can have the best day yet. And do you know that zeal is not conditional upon your circumstance? It's not conditional upon who makes you happy. It's not conditional on your energy level. Zeal is the energy, the enthusiasm, the joy of God, the passion of God. And all of us are called to live in zeal. Let us move into the third power today, which is release. Sometimes it's called elimination. Sometimes it's called some other things. I can't remember. There's some other things. Renunciation? Yes, it's called a lot of things. I just call it release because I know that as I let go, I get what that means. And I release anything that's not of God. So let us affirm together. I let go of anything that is not of God. I am free in God's healing power and peace. I let go of anything that is not of God. Think about the ways that you struggle. Think about the things that you hold on to that cause you pain, that cause you suffering. And there is a part of you that knows in those moments that when you do that, you know you are not feeling good, and you're not feeling God, and you're not feeling wise. And sometimes you give yourself the excuse, well, I'm just human. Well, it's how I am. And when you are willing to let go, when you are willing to release that which is not of God, that which holds you back from knowing God, whether it's a resentment or a grudge, a fear, an old experience, an old way of being. Whenever you let go of anything that keeps you from knowing God, then you will find a lift up in your heart and soul. And you will open a space for the peace and the freedom of God. And so today I encourage you to look in those places that you hold on to that are hard. And as you do, remember Jesus, our way shower, in the Garden of Gethsemane. Remember that there he was just before his death. And he was in the garden where he prayed. And he called forward the presence and the power of God in prayer because he said, take this cup of suffering from me. You see, he was willing to release it. Take this cup of suffering from me. Because sometimes our suffering, sometimes that which we hold on to, we can only give to God. As much as we try, sometimes we just can't let go, or we let go and we grab it back. Have you ever done that? I'm going to let go. Oh, I want that. I'm going to let go. No, that's mine. That's mine. And then we suffer more. Yeah, you know. You know what I'm saying. But when we have the image, picture that. Picture Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane saying, please, take this cup of suffering from me. And say it to yourself when you suffer. Take this cup of suffering from me. And allow the power and the presence of release to open that door just enough so you begin to feel peace. Release is one of the greatest powers that we will ever know. As we are willing to release through the presence of God, we open to the God nature that then fills us with all other powers. Release is a mighty, mighty power. And I would tell you this, that as you open to the power of release, you also open to the last power, and that is the power of life. And so let us affirm together, God's living Spirit is reborn in me. My Christ light shines clear and bright. I begin anew. The life of God. What it means is that we allow God to be God in us. We open the door to a new identity that says, who I really am is God's living Spirit born in me. I am the place where God shows up. And every day, because I begin new, I am having my best day yet. You see, when we open to new life, what happens is we release those old ideas that we aren't enough, that we have to wait, that we have to deserve it, that somehow it's going to be given to us. But instead, we live with the life of God. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And that time is now. And so today, let us open to the power of life within us. And every time you find yourself stuck or you find yourself not alive in God's power, open to this new life of all the 12 powers and watch what happens within you. The Daily Word from Sunday, July 29th, 1956, tells us this. I am the image of God. No matter how I've thought of myself in the past, today I will hold fast to the reality of my being. I will hold before my heart and my mind the realization that I am created in the image of God. I will remember that my mission is to represent God and to give expression to the qualities of God. I am the image of God, and therefore I am the image of love. I am the image of life. I am the image of faith. I am the image of power, the image of joy, and the image of wisdom. God's life flows through me. I am the image of God. Today I endeavor to express God. I endeavor to express God's perfection. From Genesis 1:27, God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. We have the opportunity of a lifetime. We have the opportunity to live in our power now. And so I leave you with one question. How will the 12 powers come alive in you? What choice will you make so that you truly become the image of God in all ways? Take some time. Activate these powers within yourself and live in the question, how will the 12 powers come alive in me?